so I'd like everyone to welcome Steve Peters. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt, and good afternoon, everyone. I need to set the record straight on there are only 3 politicians in the room. I have been there, I've done that, I am not going back. It was a wonderful opportunity, but no, goodness. Thanks, you never voted for me anyway, though. Good that you're always given. You know, I guess to start with, if these walls could talk, you know, and I think that's the amazing thing. You know, this building has been a landmark in our community since 1873 when it opened. It has always been, in my mind, a symbol of our railway heritage. And goodness knows we've lost a lot. You know, I think we all know, growing up in St. Thomas, what we once had and what is now gone. And we can't undo what has been done. But it is incumbent on everyone to make sure that we do our part to keep things alive and preserve what we can for future generations. You know, when I look back at this building, you know, you just think, as I say, if the walls could talk. The families that arrived in St. Thomas, that departed the train here and started a new life. Some of them may have been immigrants, like Jeff Urich's family, who came here, who left everything behind in the old country, in Jeff's case in Poland, and came here and got off the train and moved down to Alexandria or Arthur Ave or Woodworth Ave to what was known as Little Russia, and went to work at the iron foundry and raised a family, but then always wanted to make something better for the next generation. And there's countless stories like that. And not just for the city of St. Thomas, but the county of Elgin. This building was a part of a large network. Well, you wonder why a lot of the small towns, you know, you get going to Shedden and Dutton and West Lorne and Rodney, a little past Rodney, Taylor. All those places are about 10 miles apart. And that was all done for the railways, for the section games, to make sure that the tracks were maintained. But the hub that this place was, that this was really the communications hub for the community, communications hub for Southern Ontario, all came out of this building. And I want to talk about maybe some not so happy times. You know, you can go and stand on White Street and go look at the mural of the 91st Battalion leaving the station, June the 25th, 1916. You can even back up a little further to August of 1914. 100 years ago, this summer, there were 100 individuals that enlisted in the Elgin Regiment. Over 65 of them never returned. Or you think of that June 25th, 1916, and you can see the photos, thousands and thousands of people assembled here to bid farewell to brave young men who were going to fight a war in another country, not really maybe even sure why they were going. And how many of those individuals kissed their loved ones goodbye, kissed their children goodbye, and hopped on that train and headed to Valcartier, Quebec, and then eventually overseas. And you think ahead to 1918, 1919, and those individuals that were coming back from the war, and the families here, and greeting them, and welcoming them home, and looking at how maybe a child had grown up. But you also need to think about those ones that left on the 25th of June, 1916, and never returned. So this building certainly can celebrate lots of positive things. It can celebrate some tragic things in our community as well, too. But today's a day to celebrate. And it's a day to celebrate for a number of reasons. And, you know, some of it for me is just, it's a little personal. When I grew up in St. Thomas. I can remember walking to the markets on Saturdays and walking up Manitoba Street, and you know, you'd look across and you'd see this amazing building. I spent 18 years working next door in the grocery store and would watch this building. I actually quit my job at A&P because of this building. Because I found myself in a pecuniary interest. We were negotiating, trying to make something happen with the building at the time in 1998. And I spoke to a solicitor, and he said, look, he says, the city buys this, it could have a direct impact on your job next door, so you are in a conflict of interest. So I actually quit my job at A&P to make sure that I could devote all my efforts and not be restrained and restricted as to what I could do to try and get involved with this building. So from that standpoint, I've been involved. But I want to just say one other thing, and that is all the work that was done and the investments that were made in both levels of government, not both levels, all levels of government, have made some significant investments in this building. There's a lot of people that were involved in trying to preserve this building. Many of you are here today, and that's for here to recognize. Some of you are not here. Some of them are gone. I think of someone like Morris Poetry. Morris worked countless hours to try and acquire lands for the good of the future of the community. Morris is gone, but that's one of those memories that we think about with this building today. And there's just so many good things. You know, a couple mysteries about the building. Correct. The yellow brick painted red. Why that was done, who knows? A big unknown mystery as to why that was done. I'd like to know when the name changed. I'm sure for many of you, this was not a CASO station. This was the depot. And I don't know when the name changed, when it went from being called the depot to being called the station. I still kind of like the name, the depot. And it's a good name that goes along with it. But one of the things I will always remember is that I vowed, if I ever had the opportunity to move into this building, I would. And part of it may have been a little bit selfish of trying to go encourage my fellow politicians at Queen's Park to invest funds in this building. But I was a little bit selfish because I always wanted to be a tenant in this building. And I'll never forget the excitement before I left office to have the opportunity to move into this building as the first paying tenant here and located up on the second floor. And one of the reasons I always thought it was important to come here is that no matter who would take over from me down the road, they would never vacate this building. And that's why I was so happy after Jeff was elected in 2011 that Jeff kept his office here. And I know that after Jeff is gone and someone else comes along, the office will still stay here. And that's a great thing. We might as well utilize your taxpayers' dollars to help indirectly subsidize this building and keep it alive for future generations. So at some point, maybe when Mr. Preston gets out of his lease, we can find a way to get the FP's office. And because I think it would be a great thing. But it is, I have just some amazing memories of it. And I think it's important for me to say thank you. Thank you to the countless men and women and volunteers and young people, the trades that have been learned as a result of some of the job programs, and young people who have learned skills of glazing windows and brickwork and carpentry work. There's been some amazing things that have been done. But the work isn't done, and it's incumbent on everyone to make sure that we keep the spirit alive and keep working away. And I know that you will. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the work that everyone has done. Thank you for the work that you did to give me an opportunity to have an office here for a few years. But I think most of all, you all need to remember what you have done in your own small way with this building, is that you've done the most important thing, and that you've preserved a heritage building. You've demonstrated that an old building can be converted, you can maintain its heritage characteristics, but it can be functional for the 21st century. And that you've planted the seed in the preservation of this building, that it's going to outlive me, it's going to outlive you, that it is going to be here for countless generations. And that is the greatest testament to everyone that's been involved in this project. We have preserved the past for the future. Thank you very much.